Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Four Train Express. I'm your boy, the Four Train Express, and I'm here with Dane Huber of NYYU. How's it going, Dane?
Good. How are you doing, Mike?
Oh, busy, busy, busy. Always busy. Now I have
You
some
look like you
breaking.
just got off work.
No, at work right now, but I've got plenty of time to do
Oh,
this. Um,
okay.
But yeah, I was thinking, and one of the things that happened lately that we all heard about was the Corbin Burns trade to Baltimore. And we
Yeah.
heard that the Yankees were actually in discussions with Milwaukee. And one of the things Milwaukee asked for was Spencer Jones. Now, with that being said,
Yes.
the Yankees said, no, we're going to pass. And then whenever it was, the Orioles made the deal to get Corbin Burns. How does this now affect the Yankees?
Right.
What is their next move?
I think if they make a next move, it's probably at the deadline. I think they're done unless something that just absolutely falls in their lap. I mean,
Yeah.
Blake Snell is going to cost you a ton of money
Yep.
with the luxury tax and all that, plus picks, plus international free agency money. I don't know. What do you think they'll do?
I don't know, but there's been a lot of reports, and I don't know, I can't corroborate this. This is what I've been hearing, that the Marlins are willing to part with some starting pitching.
Uh-huh.
Which might be an interesting route to go to if per se maybe they're willing to give up an Edward Cabrera or a Trevor Rogers, maybe go that route. It wouldn't be as expensive as a Corbin Burns, but it would still give him some controllable years and a good starter, a good young starter, I should say. Maybe that's an option.
Yeah, I think if you could get I would love to have Edward Cabrera. I've been saying that all off season.
Yeah.
But the obvious trade is Peraza, Pereira, and a catcher.
Yep.
Because that's what Miami needs.
Yes.
I don't know why a deal hasn't been made. They've been talking about it for 3 years. I think Miami just doesn't value Peraza the way that the Yankees might.
Yeah. Now, there's another name that the Yankees were linked to for Miami, and that was Tanner Scott. What do you think of him possibly maybe being in a deal with a Cabrera or a Rogers or a Garrett?
I would have interest. It just depends on what they're asking for in return.
Yeah.
Miami's full of young, good arms. I don't think you could go wrong with adding one or two of them at the right price, but we got to know what that price is.
Yeah. Let's say it would be a Pereira, obviously, because Pereira's blocked. A Peraza, if they do indeed value him like the Yankees do. Maybe an Augustin Ramirez and a Caleb Durbin for, I don't know, maybe a Cabrera. And if you throw in maybe another piece, you could maybe get Tanner Scott.
Yeah, if you could get it done for that, I would do that deal. But I don't know that either team is going to do that. I think Miami's probably looking to give up one starter and maybe a bullpen arm. I think a guy that you could buy low on that would be interesting would be Sixto Sanchez. The guy has premium stuff.
That's interesting.
And he might be a bullpen option. I mean, he hasn't been able to stay healthy as a starter. Why not try him out in the bullpen where he can let that fastball air out?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting take. NFE, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Busy.
What's up, my guy?
Busy.
Hey, what's up, Dane? How you doing?
So
Good,
Dane
bud.
and I
How
were
are
just
you?
talking.
Good. Yeah. What's up?
We were just talking about the Corbin Burns trade and how it affects the Yankees. I know Jason has put this out of 161 River Ave that the
Mhm.
Marlins are, and there's been multiple reports that the Marlins are looking to trade possibly a young starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? And could you see a deal getting done?
I mean, we've been talking about it forever, how the Yankees and the Marlins are the perfect trade partners. But,
Yeah.
you know, I was reading that the Marlins were looking for a shortstop, but Peraza was not on those list of names. There was other names
Really?
on this. Yeah. I posted I posted a link in our group chat. And,
Interesting.
Peraza was apparently – his name was not mentioned. Now, could the Yankees pull off a surprise? Sure. But his name was not mentioned in that article that I posted.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dane, I know you know the prospect area. Could you see maybe a Jorbit Vivas getting flipped instead of a Peraza?
Sure, but he's not a shortstop.
He's what, a second and third baseman?
Yeah. I think the shortstop that they would have interest, the next closest shortstop would probably be Jared Cerna. And Cerna's not really a shortstop. He can certainly play the position, but that's not his best position.
What is his best position? Just asking.
I think he's a second baseman with an elite arm, but he could very well end up at third. He looked really good in left field in the Winter League as well. So he can play all over.
Interesting.
So let me ask this then, because I'm about to mention Li's favorite, Arias. Can you see? I mean, I don't see it. Can you see the Yankees potentially involving him in a trade to get like a Cabrera? Didn't think so. Okay, I'm just
no.
I'm just talking.
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
Then I guess my next question that I would pivot to would be, what about Oswaldo Cabrera? Do you see him possibly getting moved? If you keep Arias and you keep Peraza, would that be of interest for Miami? Only because I think he can play a little shortstop, but he's also a utility player or has become a utility player. And that maybe be a name that could be thrown out there for them.
I think that they would value Peraza's defense more than Cabrera's defense, and neither of them have shown a lot with the bat in the major leagues yet. At least Cabrera didn't last year until the end when they quit messing with his swing.
Yeah.
I don't think those. I think Miami wants someone who's going to hit a little bit more if they're going to be giving up Cabrera.
Okay.
I think that deal. Peraza would be almost like a throw-in in that deal, in my opinion, and I think the Yankees value him more than Miami does.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
I guess that would then be, does this Corbin Burns trade hurt the Yankees? So does it really kill the Yankees' chances of winning the East, or does it just put a little damper on it?
Go for it, Dane.
NFE, you want to go?
No, go for it.
Okay. I Burns doesn't help our chances to win the East, but he's a top 5 pitcher in baseball. He's an incredible addition to a young team that won 100 games last year. And you got to remember they're getting who is that? Their ace from 2 years ago, John Means, back. The lefty that was legit. So they're going to have a real rotation. So, yeah, it does hurt the Yankees a little bit for them getting Corbin Burns. But do we still have a chance? Absolutely. Games still have to be played on the field. They're not played on paper. So, and there's a long season that a lot of people, you have 4 or 5 kids that could break out and be very similar to what Edward Cabrera was last year.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see Will Warren put up those kind of numbers and it not be a big shock.
Yeah. And what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, with the Orioles adding Corbin Burns, it's going to make it a little more challenging for the Yankees to finish at the top of the division. But I still feel they could finish in first place, but I could definitely see them finishing second. The Orioles are going to be the team I feel like that the Yankees are going to have to worry about for years to come, just because they're so loaded with young talent right now, and the Yankees have to overcome that challenge with them. And it's funny that we're talking about the Orioles and the Yankees here, because I'm sure you all saw the PECOTA standings.
Yes.
At least what they projected.
Yep.
And they had the Orioles finishing third. I'm like, are you kidding? No way.
I don't think they're a third place team.
They are definitely not a third place team. Well, you have to look at those PECOTA standings as a grain of salt. Like, you take it with a grain of salt. But when I saw that they were finishing third place, I'm like, they're either finishing at the top of the division or they're finishing second. End of story. Like, there's no way they're finishing third.
No. I think they're probably going to be more of a team that's going to battle for first, and if they don't get first, then they'll get second. But I don't see them as a third place team.
Yeah,
so
I think
that's where I think
they were the AL East. They were the AL East champions last year, and they're adding the number one prospect in baseball. They're not going to get too much worse.
No, they're not.
Right.
And that farm system is so deep that they can make a trade for literally anybody. And have it not really affect their major league team.
Yep.
They have a catcher that's top 20 in all of baseball.
And Adley Rutschman
is completely blocked. Yeah. No, they've got another catcher beside.
I'm saying on top of Rutschman, who's also a beast.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's the best catcher in baseball.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Adley
Rutschman?
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
You know what would be a very interesting thing to see, and I know this is probably going to upset a lot of Yankee fans, and it would hurt me just as much, but could you imagine if the Orioles traded their catcher that you were just talking about, Dane, to Miami, and one of their shortstops for an Edward Cabrera, what that would do for that team? That would be Burns and then Cabrera.
Move. I think they could go get Dylan Cease if they wanted to.
Yeah,
I like
Dylan
Cabrera a little bit better than I like Cease.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess as long as
they want Jackson Holiday for him.
Yeah, they got to come back down to earth.
Jackson Holiday.
Come back down. We've been saying this for a while.
Yeah.
The White Sox need to come back down to the planet Earth. They are not getting a top prospect. It's that simple. I do not care what anybody says. I get the White Sox have to sell high, but they asked for Jackson Holiday for Dylan Cease, and the Orioles laughed at them and hung up the phone. They asked the Yankees for Spencer Jones, and the Yankees did the same thing that the Orioles did when they asked for Jackson Holiday.
They asked for Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez.
And I think they also want to Chase Hampton, which is even
they moved off of Dom for Chase Hampton. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no way that the Yankees hung up the phone and laughed. So with the Yankees in this kind of not really a predicament, but the pitching issue that they have, because right now they have Cole and Rodon and Stroman. We don't know about Rodon's health. I think spring training, I could see them making a move, whether it's for a Cease, if they come down an asking price, or if they call up Seattle possibly to maybe get a Bryce Miller or a Brian Wu in that rotation to try to.
But what are we sending Seattle?
Well, we're going to have to send them a bat, obviously. So maybe a Peraza. I guess you could maybe throw in a Ramirez or a Durbin, but you would have to give them bats because that's what they're looking for. I mean, they got a couple of bats already, but you would have to give up maybe a bat or two in order to get one of them in return. Or you could look to Miami.
What do you think about just going with what we have and seeing how the first half plays out? See if Rodon can't be the guy that we paid him to be. Stroman be the guy from Chicago from first half. If Nestor's going to be anything.
You could do that. That's a possibility.
Yeah, because the thing is right now, I think the biggest question mark with the Yankees is just their starting rotation.
Yeah,
and I feel, and we know Cole is going to be an ace, and I think if Rodon can have a bounce back season, because I think last season I still believe that it was just a fluke, because the guy was just hurt all year. The guy was never healthy to begin with, and
I agree with that.
Yeah, he looks 100%. He looks 100 times better than where he was.
Oh yeah, he's much leaner.
So I think if he pitches well, I think that might light a fire under the other starters behind him to pitch well.
Yeah.
And as long as that starting rotation does well, I feel like the Yankees will succeed. The bats have already improved significantly. I mean, I know there's some question marks with certain people in the lineup, but I feel like, some folks are talking about Anthony Rizzo. I think Rizzo is going to have a good year. He was having a good year prior to his concussion. So that concussion just messed everything up for him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then Giancarlo, him slimming down, I found that when athletes slim down, they're less injury prone, and it does improve their overall health. So I know he's a little bit older, but I feel like him slimming down, though, it might be better for him.
Oh, I agree. I don't disagree with that. And Jake, Boss, and James brought up two very good points. James said he would feel so much more comfortable with another starter. Absolutely. I think we all would. I think Dane brought up a great point earlier before you jumped on NFE, which was he could see something done at the deadline. Like if the Yankees are really full steam ahead, they could go out and acquire someone. And Jake said that he looks lean and mean this year. It should pitch pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
He does look a lot leaner. He does look a lot better and a lot healthier than what he was. So that's something to think about.
Well, because to Dane's point, right? Because he said, "Why don't we see how they play in the first half of the season?" I see that point as well, because look, Carlos Rodon was paid to be the number 2 guy.
Yep.
So he has
co-ace.
Yeah, he has to be. He's a co-ace, exactly, and he has to live up to those expectations.
Yes, he does.
So, us getting another starter, it's what that's telling me. Look, I'm not opposed to it. If the Yankees get another starter, cool,
absolutely.
Great. But the problem is, it's just us fans asking for another starter. It's basically saying we don't trust Rodon. But we have to trust him,
right?
And the pressure needs to be on Rodon. I'm sorry, but there needs to be.
Yeah, it does,
because he's getting paid $27 million. The Yankees did not pay him to be, another Carl Pavano. Like, God forbid that.
We don't need that.
We don't need that. So
he's too much of an asshole to be bad 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He just is a competitor. He went out hurt last year. You could see that the back wasn't in good shape, and he was trying to pitch through it. I think he's going to have a big bounce back year.
I do too.
And if we do, if he's the guy that we paid him to be, and you can get hopefully Nestor or Schmidt or Stroman to be a good number 3. You've got 5 kids coming this year, and Warren, Beater, Hampton, Heel, Gomez that can all impact that rotation in the 3 through 5 range and be really, really good.
Yeah.
I'd like to see. So Jacob asked, if healthy, who is your number 3? Is it Stroman or Nestor? So Stroman would be the number 3. Sorry. I honestly would like to see Nestor in the bullpen as a long man. That's just me, though.
See, I go back to 21 and 22 when he was our best pitcher. He was injured last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What says he doesn't come back? I mean, he had 2 straight years of pitching below a 3 ERA.
Yeah.
Why not see if in the first half he can be anywhere close to that? Even if he's a 3.5 ERA guy, that's a big addition.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think what it boils down to, Dane, I think fans are just having PTSD from 2023 and with all these injuries. So I think some fans are very skeptical of guys like Nestor and Rodon. But against you have a point though. I mean, he pitched well in 21 and 22, 23. He got hurt. He had shoulder issues. So, maybe.
Right. And that cutter was flat and he was getting crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you and I were talking a little bit, Dane, too, a few days ago, because you were giving me some insight about Will Warren. And it was like some great information that you gave me. And I'm excited to see Will Warren. I'm excited to see
I'm very excited for Will Warren, too.
Yeah.
That's the one pitcher other than Chase Hampton that I'm very excited for.
I don't wish any injuries.
Look, Kylie McDaniel.
No, I was just going to say, I don't wish any injuries to anybody in our starting rotation. But, it's like I would love to see Will Warren in that rotation someday. And I would love to see how he performs.
Absolutely.
See, I just think fans haven't seen enough of his stuff to understand how good he can be. I mean, this is a kid that got drafted in the 8th round, immediately went to high A, which you don't see very often, only pitched 8 games in high A before they put him up in double A because his stuff is that good. He pitched to a 3.5 ERA in triple A when most ERAs were between 5 and 7. The triple A balls were juiced. Everybody was getting killed in that league, but Warren pitched very, very well. This is a kid with 6 pitches that can throw strikes with every single one of them.
Yeah.
He's 95 to 97, 8 with the 4-seam. His 2-seam is one of the best two seams you'll ever see. His cutter looks like a hard slider, and his sweeper, Kylie McDaniels called it a 70 grade pitch that plays like an 80 grade pitch with his command. So and he's got a curveball and a changeup as well. He's Mike King with more pitches.
But he's the better version of Michael
I think when
King.
fans get a look at him, they're
is what you're saying. He's the better version or the upgraded version of Michael King.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we didn't get. I'm glad. The one thing I'm very excited about and very happy about is we did not give him up in that Juan Soto deal, and that we did give up Michael King. I think that was a fantastic move to keeping Will Warren, because that is the one pitcher that Dane has spoken to me a lot about and shown me video of. I'm very excited to see what he does.
Yeah, from those from some of that, the stuff that I've seen from Warren in those videos. Again, Dane sent me a couple of videos and I checked them out. That guy, he has so much movement.
Oh yeah,
and it's just it's crazy how much that ball moves, and the swing and misses against the opposing team. I'm just like, dude, if he, I mean, there's a lot of there's high expectations of him, and again, I'm excited to see what he could bring, and the fact that firstborn child.
No, I just like the guy a lot. He's a very promising pitching prospect. And you got to think about it this way. Think about how many pitchers Cashman has traded out of the farm system in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
There are 29 of them that were taught in our top 30. Warren is the one guy that he's held on to. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. It's true.
The other guy that I keep hearing that looks so good is Clayton Beater. Yeah. The other guy that I'm hearing that looks just phenomenal is Clayton Beaters.
Yeah. Clayton Beater, I've heard a lot of good things about too.
I've always been more that he was a bullpen guy because he didn't have a good changeup, but supposedly he's refined the curveball and changed the grip on the changeup. And if he can throw 4 pitches for strikes, his slider and fastball are so good that he'll get outs. Oh.
So I want to get on. I want to get on to this Yankees team in general. So we know that they missed out on Burns, which is fine. They can always sign him next offseason if they want, whatever. They have $43 million coming off the books this coming year, and that would be Donaldson's buyout, Gleyber Torres, and Anthony Rizzo. With what they have now, which would be, Verdugo, Soto, and all of them, what do you think
Verdugo's in that too that will go?
Yep, and Verdugo's in that too. So over $43 million.
Yeah.
With what they have now, do you think going down the stretch that this team could really make a statement during the season, more or less so of, hey, we have a lineup that is twice as good, if not 10 times as good as last year, but still don't take us lightly. Do you see them making that kind of a statement, or do you think they still have a little bit more work to do?
I think that it depends on how the kids play. If Wells takes the next step, which I think he's going to, I think Austin Wells is going to be a very, very good player for the Yankees for a long time. I think you're going to have a bat that impacts the line.
I'm very high on Austin Wells.
I think he's going to impact. Yeah,
I think
so am I. I think he's a much better defender.
Yeah.
And then you got to hope that Anthony Volpe figures out at least a 2-strike approach. He can't hit under 220 again. He just can't. No. And I think he'll be better than that. But if you get Volpe having a 240, 25 home run season, you get Wells having a 20 home run season, and then you get Jason Dominguez back halfway through the year to bat one leadoff with Soto and Judge behind him. Yeah, I think that lineup can make a huge impact and make a statement that we can win.
Yeah. And a fee?
So with Austin Wells,
in general, what do you think of the whole team in general? Like, do you think this team is now going to make that statement of, we are back, don't take us lightly?
Yes, I would say, this offseason they've made a lot of moves, and I know a lot of fans are stuck on they didn't get any of the big names. I mean, they got Juan Soto, obviously, but we all know that. But they were stuck on a lot of people were still stuck on, oh, well, that's all they did. But they made other moves. I mean, this team has gotten better.
Right.
And people are not. Some fans are not paying attention to these moves. But I feel like this team is a lot better going into 2024 than 2023. A year ago, right around this time, I was still unsure This season, I do feel a little more confident.
Absolutely.
They actually made a lot of moves. I would say they were more active than most of the other teams. The only other team that was really active too was the Dodgers, but
but the Dodgers
right.
are a mess right now. If
Yeah.
you look at that rotation is full of injury-prone pitchers. They just brought back Kershaw, who we don't even know if he can stay healthy.
What's up, Rob?
With that shoulder, and then you've got James Paxton, whose deal might get voided because he's got an injury that they just found. Then you've got Glass whose arm is made of glass. You've got Otani, who's not even going to pitch, and then you've got Yamamoto, who's never thrown a pitch in the majors.
Yeah, the Dodgers starting rotation is definitely a question mark. It's more of a question mark than the Yankees, no doubt. If I had if somebody told me, maybe I'm being biased here, right? But if somebody asked me which rotation would you rather have, the Yankees.
Absolutely.
At least I know that not every single pitcher that I have in my rotation is, risk of injury or had like some crazy injuries from the past that could sneak up again because, all those guys that the Dodgers have in their rotation, they're all question marks. They're really, I guess if you want to look at it this way, the big move that the Dodgers did was Shohei Otani, and he's going to be a big bat for them.
Yeah.
So I mean that's how I see it. But the answer to the original question, not to go off topic here, I feel a lot better going into this season for sure, especially with all the moves that they made.
Yep.
I feel a lot better. And I'll say this over and over again because it seems like, I'm going to sound like a broken record every single time, but people need to hear it. Having big names does not equal a World Series. It doesn't guarantee you a World Series. All right. So, the Braves were the best baseball team in all of baseball. We all saw what happened. The Orioles were the other really good team. We all saw what happened. The Padres, they had, they had some superstars on their team. What did they do? Nothing. So you have to build a team. Small names, big names, they all have to click. There needs to be a chemistry on that team, right? So, again,
I agree completely.
Yeah. So, the games still need to get played. Plain and simple. They have to get played. You can predict all you want. You can say, oh well, the Yankees have like a 30% chance of winning the World Series. We don't know, man. So
and
this season I feel better. That's all I'm going to say.
Dane brought up a good point, and I want to put this out there. He said games are not played on paper. So I don't care what the Dodgers roster looks like on paper. It's what they can do on the field.
Yeah.
Can they stay healthy? Can their team not fall apart, which it looks like at this point, looks like a house of cards about to fall? I mean, it looks almost, if you want to think of it like this, it looks like it's sinking faster than the Titanic because they still got bullpen issues. They still have starting rotation issues. They still don't have corner outfielders because they've said Margot is going to play center and Betts is going to play second. So I just want to put that out there. But yeah, so it's all something to think about. Dane, if you're still with us.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening.
Okay. Sean Browning was saying you were frozen, but I'm like, he's frozen. I see him.
No, I just hold still really well.
Yeah, you do.
So I'm not exactly worried about them. For us, I think it's going to be. Hold on, we got Jonathan who's going to come on.
Okay.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hi.
So I guess my thing is, I'm not worried about the Dodgers just because of the fact that
Come on, Jonathan.
They are a mess.
Hi, Dane.
They're more of a mess than what we are actually, if you want to call it that. And what the one thing I like this year, about this year's team is that we have enough depth to cover our losses. So, like Austin Wells, like Dane was saying, I think Austin Wells might get the starting job. I really do. I think if he really does well in spring training, he should get the starting job over Jose Trevino.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, to your question, how does Burns affect the Yankees? Do you think does the Orioles have enough pitching beyond Burns to really make a difference?
That's a good point.
Because
they
who
do.
else do
And
they have?
I think they
besides
do.
Burns?
I think they do.
John Means came back. They have that
Yep.
kid that came up with Grayson Rodriguez.
He's a
There's three
beast.
really good starters right there, and then they have more guys in AAA that are almost ready. They have pitching, and they can go get more if they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think
I'm
Orioles
far
will
more.
probably be the biggest contenders for the AL East.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Rob.
I'm far more worried about the Orioles than the Dodgers.
Yeah.
100%.
The Dodgers are in the National League. I don't think the Yankees have to worry about that until if they make the World Series.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up,
Rob?
Rob?
How's it going?
What up, Rob?
Good, guys. How are y'all doing tonight?
Good.
Good, man.
Good.
What do you think of this team this year? How are you feeling about it in general?
Man, I'm excited, man. Like I don't see how we can't be. I've been saying it all week on the Chronicles. Like this, we've done so much, and people kind of want to overlook it because it wasn't after Soto. It wasn't like the big flashy move. So I think Stroman's a great addition. I'm confident Rodon will bounce back. Stanton, I think he's gonna have a great year. Rizzo's gonna have a great year. We still got Aaron Judge. I mean, I can't help but be excited for this season. And plus, we got so many prospects that we talked about several times. Like it seems like the future's bright, and this year is a good reason to be excited.
Yeah.
What do you think of Austin Wells, Rob? I mean, I know I didn't get your opinion on this yet, but what do you think of Austin Wells? Do you think he has a legitimate chance of winning that starting job over Jose Trevino?
I don't think they're going to have an actual starter. You know, I really feel like they're going to do a platoon thing because Trevino is probably going to catch Cole more often than not. And then you think about, I know Rodon liked throwing the Wells in the minors when he was doing rehab, so you'll think about that. You wonder who's the better catcher for Stroman. I think it's going to be based off of matchup. If Cole needs a personal catcher, he's going to get a personal catcher. But it could be, let's say they play 6 games in a row, you might see 3-3 or 4-2. I don't know if there's going to be de facto starter, but if Wells is giving you the better bat, which he most likely will, you kind of have to ride the hot hand there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I agree.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar to the 96 team where didn't Girardi and Posada have basically a 50-50 season?
I thought they did.
I don't remember exactly, but I think this year will be similar to that year in terms of catching.
Yeah.
You think Cole would have any problems pitching to Wells?
That's interesting. You know, I never thought about that, but that's an interesting question, NFE. Do I think he would have a problem pitching to Wells? No, and I only say that because if you remember when he came up last year with Dominguez, he actually handled that pitching staff quite well for such a young kid, and he was so mature behind the plate, and he really proved that he can handle a big league staff. And I think that's the most important thing. Forget the hitting and the defense for a second. Knowing how to handle your pitching staff as a catcher is so important and so vital to a team. And it showed his maturity at such a young age. So I don't think he would have an issue throwing to Austin Wells, if you ask me.
Yeah, because
I think whatever issues there are will be handled in spring training.
Yeah, I was going to mention because Wells was highly talked about in the minors, so it was talked about how, the pitchers love pitching to him. So that's why I feel
Yeah, they do.
like I don't think it should be. I don't think it would be a problem for Cole to pitch to Wells. I think Wells can. Seems like he can hold his own behind the plate. Is what I'm getting at. So
yeah, and he looks like a brick shit house behind
Wells
the plate
would
too.
look.
That's how big he is.
go ahead, Dane.
Yeah. The thing, there's a story about Wells. He hadn't ever caught anybody who throws a one-seam fastball like our closer. So he spent 8 hours on a pitching machine learning how to catch Holmes' particular sinker.
Huh.
So he could be better prepared. I mean, that's the kind of preparation this kid goes through to learn his pitching staff. He'll have a pitching machine program to throw their pitches so he can work on setting himself up properly behind the plate. The kid's a fantastic receiver. He's an elite game caller. He just gets a bad rap because he doesn't have much of an arm.
And to Benji's point, do you see Torres getting traded?
I don't personally.
No.
But possibly at the deadline if they need really something and if they have an illegitimate someone who can replace him. But
I think they ride the year out with Torres.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he's the starting second baseman.
Yep.
I don't think he's getting traded. If you were going to trade Torres, it should have been done.
It would have been done months ago.
Yeah, I think he's getting a QO.
Yeah,
I think
they'll
he'll
give him
get
a QO.
the
He'll
QO.
probably reject it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think I don't think they're going to resign him.
Yeah.
Just like how I don't think just like how I don't think they're going to bring Rizzo back. I don't see it. And
I don't know how you. I don't see the Yankees paying Torres between 20 to 25 million.
No.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Especially when they have replacements for him.
I think he's.
You're not gonna pay a second baseman $20 million when you can pay a rookie $500,000.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. But Torres is not going to get traded though. So I like I said, he's the starting second baseman, and I think he's going to finish out the year with the Yankees, and then hit free agency, and some team will sign him.
Yep, I agree.
Absolutely, some team will sign him.
Yeah, because he'll be like
he's going to
28.
get a paycheck. He'll get a nice paycheck.
Yeah, he'll get a good paycheck, probably. Depending on the season.
So there was a question brought up. I'll put it up on the screen again. Do you think we will see any surprise rookies that will come up to big league camp this year or to the big leagues this year?
Surprise rookies?
Define surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean,
I'm hoping to see Hampton and Jones.
That would be a surprise.
That would be a surprise.
So that's interesting you brought him up, Jonathan, because I don't know if you guys read that. The guys in the chat read the thing I wrote about Spencer Jones. Do you see him playing first base full time, or splitting time between first and outfield?
Possibly, but that all depends on Jason Dominguez.
Why? I'm just curious as to why.
If he comes back, he'll be in the outfield. If he comes back, he'll be at first base.
You mean Soto?
No.
You have
this year.
Who do you have in center field?
Judge.
Yeah, Judge is probably the second fielder as of now. Yeah.
As of now, Judge is a center fielder.
Then
I would say that.
The path for getting Soto or getting Jones up here is incredibly complicated this year. With Verdugo, with Stanton, with Rizzo, you have to have a lot of things go wrong for him to get on this roster. I'd love to see him up. He definitely has the talent to impact the roster, but there's a lot of things in front of him. As far as in the future, I think Jones is your center fielder. I do not think Dominguez lasts in center field more than maybe one more year.
Where do you think Dominguez goes? Do you think
Dominguez goes to left field?
I think Dominguez goes to left.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dominguez goes to left. I could see Judge playing center field. I could, Judge, I think in the future, because he's getting a little bit older, right? I'm not saying he's not old now, but he's getting up there. He's slowly getting up there. I could see him fulfilling the DH role.
Yeah.
And between maybe him and Soto switching off in the DH role. Is that a possibility?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Rob, what do you think?
In a few years, because again, we still don't know what's going to happen with Stanton yet. If Stanton's gone after this season, then a lot of things are wide open for that.
And I should have mentioned that, Rob. My fault. It all does depend on how Stanton plays, because here I am assuming that Stanton's going to have another repeat year, but I'm expecting Stanton to have a bounce back year. So,
yeah, me too.
He's
like
also
the thing is
slimmer as well.
Yeah. And I think that's going to really help him. Hopefully, just give us good amount of at bats, because I think I was watching the show with Pete earlier when he had Johnny Lasagna on for his debut on NYYU, and he mentioned Johnny mentioned Michael Kay, saying like if he gets 500, 600 at bats, he's good for 30 dingers, and you're going to take that every season. You're going to take 30, 35 homers from Stanton. So if he's giving you that Joey Gallo-esque stat line where the average is low, the on base and slugging and OPS are up, and the powers there, you're going to take it at this point with 4 years left. So until Stanton's off this roster, you're not going to see Judge or Soto rotate DH, because you really have to keep Stanton there. And that's why I keep bringing up your article, Mazza, when I talk about Spencer Jones, because the only option right now might be first base, just to get him in the lineup when he's ready. You could still do both with him. And I hope that by mentioning that article and mentioning Jones at first base doesn't spawn the person that I think it's going to spawn in the chat. But I think that might be the only option that you might have. So until we have like a clearer picture, I think for now the Yankees are getting him ready to be a first baseman. But if something doesn't go right with Stanton and we don't get Soto back, then obviously the plan to move him to the outfield is right there in front of you.
Another thing to remember about Stanton is after this year, the Marlins are going to pay $10 million of his contract. So the Yankees will only pay, partially. It's whatever his contract is, like $17 million.
Something like that. So
no, he makes 27, and the Marlins are kicking in 30. So it takes his AAV down to 21 and a half.
It's 30, but it's 10 every year for the last 3 years. That's where the 30 comes in.
Right, but they calculate AAV, not what he's actually making. What a player actually makes in the year doesn't matter. It's what they make over the course of the contract that balances towards the competitive balance tax.
Yeah.
So
this was asked, do you think the Yankees have one more big move in them before or during spring training on signing or trading for one more starting pitcher? If so, who do you think they will get?
I think the number 5 starter comes from the system.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that like I said, I would love for them to trade for another starter, but I am still on the side of saying that they are just going to roll with what they got.
And I honestly think it will be Warren as the number 5 starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Warren's not going to Yeah, but they have their starting 5 set. I don't know that Warren.
Yeah, they already have their starting 5. Warren would. Sorry,
I don't think that Warren.
No, you're good. I'm sorry.
You're good, bro. You're good. I was just gonna say, Warren could crack a roster spot, but I honestly think he's gonna get called up later in the year.
Yeah.
And even Matt Blake attested to. I mean, Matt Blake even said that too. So.
Yeah. Warren is probably the first guy.
Unless there's a. Well, they might not do that because he's not on the 40-man yet, and they don't want to start his clock. So they may wait until after whatever that date is. Rob, May something
May 15th,
or June, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, but with Heel, Gomez, and Beaters are already on the 40-man. I think they're more likely to make the roster out of spring training for that reason alone.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Heel in the bullpen, maybe as the closer.
Yeah, I've been thinking Hill is probably going to make the perfect closer.
I would wait on the closer part.
Let him air it out for an inning. See how
Yeah,
it
you
goes.
have to wait on that, but
Yeah, especially with him coming back from TJS, I would wait for Hill to.
Oh no, absolutely. But I'm saying like down the line.
Down the
Oh, down the line is a
Yes.
possibility, but
Yeah,
right
if he
now,
can't
no.
handle
Not right
the
now,
innings.
though.
So who's
Not
the
right now.
closer right now? You think
Clay
Clay
Holmes.
Holmes.
Clay Holmes.
the way they structured his contract is to be a closer. He makes more money if he closes games. The Yankees see him as a closer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Benji says Stanton is not going anywhere. I just want to comment on this. I wouldn't be so sure of that, Benji. And I only say that because if he has another year like he did last year where he was on the IL for close to 50% of the season, you could see the Yankees saying, you know what? We can't do this anymore. We got to cut ties with you, buy you out, but you're done in a Yankees uniform.
Yeah. That's the only way you get rid of him is buy him out. He's not tradable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point that's where the Yankees are going to look to do.
They're going to have to do what they did with Ellsbury.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going to start doing if this whole injury thing pops up again this year. What are your thoughts?
It all depends, right? It just depends on how he plays. Because I hate saying it because every year, at least the last 2 years, like he started off boiling hot, and then the injury just derailed everything. Because the first half of 2022, he was an all-star, and an injury happened. He wasn't the same player. Last year, the first few weeks, he was tearing the cover off the ball. He pulls his hammy running the bases, and he wasn't the same player. They rushed him back clearly to try to get some offense in there, and he just wasn't the same. But even in that kind of a bad year, he still hit 21, 22 home runs. So
yes, he did.
I still think there's something there, and that's why I don't want to close the door on him. And to go to an earlier point about adding a pitcher. You guys know you all know who I want for the Yankees to go trade. Yeah,
I'm right there with you,
Rob.
I'm right there with you. I've been preaching that for quite some time. NFE knows about that. Dane knows about it. All of you guys know about that. I've been right there with you. Edward Cabrera would be a perfect fit. One name that Dane brought up earlier when we first started the show was Sixto Sanchez. That would be another name I would be interested in. He's young. He has dynamic stuff. His
purely
arm is
as
electric.
A project.
Yes. Matt Blake could work with him. I mean, you don't have to give up a shit ton for him. I mean, what a perfect fit for Matt Blake. A perfect project for Matt Blake to have. Because he's great with that kind of stuff.
Kid had a 75 grade fastball and a 70 grade slider. I mean, you could stick him in the back of a bullpen and hopefully he could take over a closer role or a setup role. I mean, he has those two pitches for him are phenomenal. Yep. And if Blake could get him to control him better, he'd be a hell of a weapon.
Oh, absolutely.
And that 75 you're talking about, that's graded at a plus, correct?
Something like that.
75 is plus. It's 2.5 standard deviations better. It's one of the rarest grades that you can see. You just don't see 75 grade pitches. They're extremely rare.
Especially
that's what I had read. So
yeah, but Sixto is very special talent.
Where do you guys see?
He was never in the Yankee system. He was not part of the
he wasn't.
He was always in Miami's, Benji. And as for Snell and Monty, we're not even in on Monty, and we told Snell to go kick rocks. After what Boris countered with, which was 9 for 270, kick rocks.
We gave him a fair offer and he declined it. If he
6 for 150, fine. But
yeah, and supposedly the Angels are in on Blake Snell, so we'll see how that all plays out.
And if I was,
I think that's stupid.
If I was any team, I would offer him the same 6 for 150. I wouldn't go above that. I wouldn't go above $30 million.
Especially for a guy who can't pitch past the fifth inning. Doesn't a single season. He's only gone 180 innings twice in his career. Once with Tampa, once with San Diego. So he's not wait. I don't think he's worth the risk or the reward. I think as good as he was, not taking anything away from him, not taking his Cy Youngs away from him at all, I don't think it would be a good investment for the Yankees, especially since we've tied all this money up in Rodon, and that's the guy that we have paid to be that number 1A behind Cole.
No,
Can I take this one?
Yeah,
Please
can
go
go
ahead.
Can I take this one real quick?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And why
Please.
Pokemaniacs, I respect the question. No matter what, any offseason you get Juan Soto was never a waste.
No.
Never.
Yeah.
You are not going to miss a single player that we gave up. I know we gave up 4 pitchers and a catcher, but we are not going to miss a single one of those guys. We are going to love Juan Soto for 162 games and hopefully plus another 18 or whatever it is in October. You make that trade every single day of the week for Juan Soto, especially if you're the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
I
who?
guarantee
Michael
this.
who?
Exactly. You are not going to regret this trade.
Yeah, Juan Soto is a generational player.
Juan Soto.
You don't give
now
up on
going
pass
back
up
to
a generational
We
player.
got arguably the best player in the sport in Juan Soto on a bargain.
Going back to his question,
steal.
I would say if we didn't trade for Stanton and signed Harper, that would have been a better move.
So here's the thing. We got arguably the best player in the sport on the cheap. Look at what San Diego had to give up to get him from Washington. We were going to give up something similar to that, but instead he goes to San Diego. And then this offseason, we gave up 4 pitchers in Brito, Thorpe, Vasquez, and Michael King, and Kyle Higashioka. Now, out of those 4 starters, who is actually a real true ace? Not a single one of those pitchers.
I mean,
Michael King at best is a 3. Johnny Brito, he's got nice stuff, but he's Michael King. What would you rate him as for starting in any rotation?
He's a 2 with a chance to be a 1.
A 2 with a chance of being a 1?
Did you see him against the Blue Jays? Yeah, he struck out 13 guys against the Blue Jays on one of his first
Oh, I didn't see that
starts.
start.
King
I didn't see that.
King had a chance to be an ace. Had the
I saw him
potential.
in short stints. I didn't see his. That's why I said that. So that's my fault.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say NYY Hulkamaniacs. I beg to differ here with you, dude, because Yankees just didn't trade for Juan Soto just to trade for Juan Soto for just 1 year. I'm sorry. You don't just give up all those guys to trade for Juan Soto. And they got Trent Grisham in that deal too. But you think they're just gonna have Juan Soto for a year and just be like, okay, you could walk? No.
They were planning on going after Soto when he was a free agent anyway. He's always been in the plans.
They're gonna give him a QO and then they're gonna resign him.
Yep.
And
Now,
to Dane's point, I was going to say they were trying to trade with him when he was playing for Washington.
Yep.
And they tried to get him at last year's deadline too.
Exactly. So you think the Yankees are just going to let him walk? No way. No way.
Now, Dane, I have
That's
a question
insane.
for you. If the Yankees had not traded for Soto this year and they had waited till the off season of this year to go get him, which you said that was the plan, what do you think their offer would have been to them or been to Soto? Would it be something similar to what it would be now, or would it have been higher or lower, do you think?
I think it would have been higher. I think you're going to give him a year playing here, and he's going to fall in love with it. His dad has already said he's going to go to every one of his home games, and his dad is a huge Yankees fan. There's a Dominican market in New York. You just you don't find a better fit than him.
I don't see Soto getting less than $600 million.
Well, it depends on how you see Ohtani's deal. If you value Ohtani's deal at $700 million, then maybe, but it's valued at what you told me this, Mazza, 467 or something like that, 475 because of the way the deferred money works.
It's
anyway, that's how MLB is valuing it.
Yeah. We just lost NFE. He'll be back though. But
Yeah.
I could see the Yankees doing. And Dane, you can call me nuts for this. You guys can call me nuts for this. But I see him doing a deal that's roughly 14 years to lock him up for the rest of his career. Because, as Dane said, he wants to be a Yankee. His father's a diehard Yankee fan, and I could see him giving him roughly $5.95, which is roughly 42.5 AAV.
I think that's
something
very close.
similar to what I would guess. I'm guessing.
And I would be happy to give him 42.5 AAV if you're going to lock up arguably the best player in the sport. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we already heard people that saying you can't give him more than Judge per year. Forget that. He will get more than Judge.
Yeah,
And Judge won't care.
Yeah,
And
Judge is not going to
won't
care.
care.
Judge is the captain. He's the captain for a reason, and the captain is not going to care about other players, especially a guy like Juan Soto that's going to make more money than him. Judge wants to win
You think
championships.
Peter
That's
ever
what he
cared
wants.
that A-Rod made more than him? I'm sure he's happy with the World Series in 2009 more than how much more money A-Rod made.
Hey,
Yeah.
I know this is going to bother Rob a little bit. Luis said this is not even close to being the best player in the game. Did you hear what Pedro said a few days ago? With all due respect to Soto, he's not Tatis Jr. Fernando. Fernando is the best player from RD.
That's just like your opinion, man. I don't know. I mean,
And for all we know, Pedro could be saying this because he's a Yankees hater. I mean, come on.
yeah. I mean, I disagree with that completely. I think
Yeah.
Juan Soto's doing stuff that we haven't seen in our lifetime. You know, like there's a handful of names that are doing what he has done, and those are guys that are in Cooperstown. So,
And
I don't. How you say Tatis is better than him? Maybe the overall skill set because he's faster and maybe a little bit better defensively. But like when it comes to overall hitter, there are a few in the game ever that have been better than Juan Soto. So
And Tatis already got busted for drugs, didn't he?
Yeah, yes, he did.
Yeah. And Luis Barrios, I mean, I'm pretty sure Pedro Martinez said that because Juan Soto got traded to the Yankees. If he got traded to another team, he probably wouldn't have made that comment.
No, exactly.
So it's just because he's playing for the Yankees. So people have to find a way to
hate.
They have to find some sort of flaw in
this other comment. Do you see the Yankees getting more Kami next year?
No,
I don't see it. Personally.
I don't see it. I don't think he'll go. I think Murakami, I don't think is going to get posted for a couple of years, and even if he does get posted next year, I don't see him coming to the Yankees. Because they've got DJ, LI's favorite player, who he should have locked up after trading for Robbie Ray, but we'll go there another time. But they've got DJ, they've got Arias coming up in a few years. Who else is it? Dane, who's the other one that they have?
Well, Murakami's never going to play third base in the major leagues. He's just not. He's a first baseman, DH.
Yeah.
And if he has the kind of season that he did 2 years ago, I wouldn't count it out. The Yankees would be all over him with their connection with the new minority Swimi Minami being Japanese. He's promised to bring Japanese players here. Obviously, it didn't work for Yamamoto, but Freeman's blocking Murakami in the Dodgers. So
Freeman's there to what? He's 38, 39 years old.
Yeah.
Do you see Ben Rice as a future first baseman?
Ben Rice is going to end up at first for somebody. I just don't know who that is.
Might be Rizzo. I mean, after this year, I don't see Rizzo being back.
Rizzo is gone after this year.
Rizzo has a 2025 option, but I doubt
I don't think the Yankees are picking that up.
They're not picking up.
Unless he has a monster season, you're not giving him $20 million next year.
Nah.
If Ben Rice has a good season this year, I could see him replacing Rizzo.
Yeah.
But Ben Rice hasn't played a lot of first base yet. He's
Right.
mostly caught. So he needs to learn first base a little bit more. And
But that's what this year is. This is he has a whole season to learn first base.
Right, he does. And it's going to depend on what level he starts at, because if they start him in AAA, he might catch part of the time also. And they might keep him catching part of the time because that raises his trade value, being able to play two positions.
Yeah.
So you just don't know. Spencer Jones might end up at first base, and then there's no place for Rice then. So we really have no idea what's going on at first base next year.
Because after this season, don't they have to? Isn't he exposed to the Rule 5 draft, Benway?
Yes, he will have to be added after this year.
So that's why I'm thinking about it, because of Rizzo's is already gone. Ben Rice can take his place. No option for Rizzo, especially if his head is not completely healed.
So Benji asked if we see Pete Alonso coming to the Yankees. No, I don't see him coming to the Yankees. I don't even see him going back to the Mets, honestly. I know that's.
I think he's going to Houston.
I think he might go to Chicago.
Houston,
I could see that.
He's the first baseman.
Abreu's a free agent.
Yeah,
they don't need Alonso.
Are you kidding? I'm taking Pete Alonso every day of the week over Abreu at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's a free agent after the season, and they got some money to spend because they just extended Altuve to a pretty friendly contract. They're probably going to extend. They got to extend.
I wasn't sure if how many years Abreu had, but if they're both free agents, then possibly he may go to.
I see the Cubs making a run for him.
Depends on what the Cubs do with Bellinger. I mean, if the Cubs bring back Bellinger, he's probably going to be their first baseman because they got Pete Crow Armstrong going to center field.
Yep.
And honestly, I in regards to the AL East, I think the Orioles will be the biggest challenge to the Yankees.
Yep, I agree with that. But we're going to get on to one more topic before we wrap this up, and that would be the overall predictions for the Yankees this season. Where do you see them ending up in the standings, and what do you think their record would be? Rob, I'll start with you, and then go around and throw it to NFE to Dane to Jonathan.
So I'm going to go off of just the on-paper roster. On paper, I think this is a team that can win that division. I don't think that the Orioles are as scary as people think. They have to hope that a lot of things go right for them. They got to hope for a lot of sophomore slumps to not happen for them to repeat what they did last year. And I think that if everything goes right for this team, which I know something's going to go wrong, that's just how baseball is, but this is a team that could easily win 95 or more and win that division. I mean, they got so much better. And you think about not having Judge for 50-plus games and a concussed Rizzo, they would have won another 10 and probably made the postseason if Judge doesn't get hurt. And now you're going to get him back with Soto, with a healthy Rodon. The sky's the limit, I think, for this team. And the kids we have that can come up and make an impact this year, I see 95 or better.
NFE?
Yeah, so for me, I think the Yankees this season, I feel pretty good about them finishing at the top of the division. I'm not going to sit here and deny and act like the Orioles aren't going to be a pain in the ass, because I think they're going to be.
Yeah.
But I have them winning 95 games. I don't have them going over 95 myself. But it's definitely much better than 82 games. But 95 is where I'm sticking to.
I think they're a 95 plus win team. I think that they'll contend for the division. I think we're going to learn a lot in the first half with seeing Volpe in his second year, Wells actually being adjusted to the league. I think Cabrera might have a bounce back season. And if Torres can do what he did last year, that lineup's really actually elite. because Torres is going to be your 6th or 7th hitter. I mean, I think the sky's the limit for this team, just like Rob said.
Yeah. Jonathan?
Yeah, I could see them winning anywhere between 96 and 102 wins, winning the East.
All right.
So I'm
and that's assuming no significant injuries like Judge or Soto and Cole.
So
and
I'm
also Rodon having a fully healthy year.
Yep. So I'm in agreement with Rob and Dane. I think that they're closer to a 95 win team. And Rob hit the nail right on the head. The sky's the limit for this team. They have everything laid out in front of them. They did everything they could this offseason. They've had a very successful offseason, in my opinion. I think people do overlook it, as Rob said. And as Dane said too, and NFE, and you too, Jonathan, I think there's a lot of fans that overlook what we've done. It may not have been the biggest or sexiest moves, but they were moves nonetheless that were deft moves. So I agree with what everyone said. I do think that they are around a 95 win team, and the sky's the limit. So I agree with you guys on that. So
aren't they losing a lot of payroll next year also?
Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have plenty. They should have plenty of money to re-sign Soto.
Oh,
and I want to point this
have
out to Benji. So Benji, yeah, Rizzo was hurt, but when we look at 2023, he was having a good year. But as far as him getting hurt, that was a concussion. He collided with freaking Tatis's hip. So,
and then the team doctor screwed him up even more by saying, "Oh no, he's fine. Let him play."
Right. So,
if he went on the IL immediately, I'm sure he would have recovered much better.
Mm-hmm.
But that's gonna do it for us. What were you gonna say, Dane?
Nothing.
Oh, I thought you. Okay. That's gonna do it for us. I want to thank Rob, Jonathan, Dane as always, and NFE for coming on. This was a lot of fun. I know it was an impromptu live stream, but thank you all for coming out to join us and hang with us tonight. Chat, you guys were lively. Love it. Remember, hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon buttons so you get all notifications. If you have not done so, please check out the Pinstripe Chronicles with Rob, Uncle Tats, and Donald. And then you've got Chris and Lynn on the upper deck on Sunday mornings. Don't miss out with NYYU with Pete Simonetti and Dane Huber. Fantastic stuff. And NFE on the Strike Zone. Please show these guys some love, as well as Jason from 161 River Ave. And we've got Hector on the Morning Brew Sports. All of them. Please show them love. And until next time, guys, you have a great rest of your night. This is the last stop on the 4 Train Express, and we will see you next time.